I was just like, oh.
And especially with the tension between him and Jon Snow, I was like, oh, something.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go head to head, too.
Yeah, and even that last glimpse, I was like, oh my God, one of them is still. But then it was just sort of just like a nod.
But then we also get Jon and Sansa, and, like, their relationship has always been tense. So that's really meaningful, too. I almost sometimes love, like, just going back to, like, to the Jon and Sansa reunion. I think because their relationship was tense, and at that moment they were the only two people in the world, is, like, what made that so powerful. It will forever be, like, one of my favorite, like, the most moving scenes.
It was so emotional.
Yeah.
Like, and you didn't really expect it to be because you knew they weren't that close to begin with, but, like...
It was, like, the most emotional reunion, I think.
And you expected
that for sure.
I expected that of Arya, but it's because they didn't like each other that was so fucking powerful. And they've been alone on both of their arcs for so long in the
Turner
world.
Is such a good actress.
Oh, I loved both of that. And I love their goodbye, too. And, like, her kind of being like, can you forgive me? And, like, I think there is, like, still tension there, but him, like, being like, you deserve this, and you are Ned Stark's daughter, and you're going to do a great job, kind of. Well, not so many words, but that's what I took that as. Like, once again, I have to read in where they left off. But. And then, of course, Jon and Arya, and her whole thing, and he's like, you can come visit me, and she's like, I got other plans.
Yeah.
But those two...
Dippin'?
Those two.
So...
Yeah, well, and I love her callback, because, like, you know, Arya can't just sit around Westeros. Like, you know what I mean? She's not interested in ruling. And even, like, being, like, guard for her sister, I don't think is enough for her. So the whole, like, I'm gonna go be this badass explorer.
But, you know, she's come back at any minute.
She's got that adventurous
What's west of Westeros? I read some tweet that was like, the Resteros.
Yeah, what the fuck is west of Westeros? I was...
The Americas. They're gonna go discover America.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so... going back to the Bran thing, even though I was really annoyed with that, like, we still have this come up. So, like, we see Brienne writing in the book, and, like, her becoming Lord Commander, Sir Brienne becoming Lord Commander, was, like, a really good consolation prize for having to have Bran as king. I felt like, and I love when she writes in, honorably for Jaime and his book, or his page in the book, and then also, like, died protecting his queen. You know that had to be hard for her to write. Like, that had to be very emotional.
For sure. And, like, I feel like everyone had a really bad rep about him. Even things written about him in that book.
Well, yeah, even Sir Barristan Selmy didn't really respect him at all. And that's kind of ironic because Sir Barristan saw what the Mad King did, but he still kind of thought Jaime was dishonorable and, like, just put up with him. And that was his squire, very importantly, like, a callback to.
It was just nice for Jaime to finally get his, like,
recognition
entry into that book. Like, that means something,
because
you know.
Brienne is the shit.
Yeah,
like,
and
she don't hold on.
Well,
like,
and
she recognizes the truth.
She
not
is,
a petty person.
Like, whether or not, you know, Cersei was his true love or whatever, like, she's the only person he ever opened up with that about that with, and, like, knows the truth of what he did and why he did it. And I think that was really important, kind of, just for him and for her, and a lot of, especially for a lot of the people complaining about what happened to his character, and we talked about it last episode. But, you know, he still did some pretty good shit along the way, you know? Some terrible shit and some good shit, you know? Good mix of both. But so, the small council, I do love people talking about wasted scenes. We're talking about this, where Tyrion's moving the chairs. And, like, but it's like, don't you guys love Easter eggs? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a callback to all that time, that amazing unspoken scene with his sister where he just, like, refuses to sit next to her and, like, pulls the chair around and, like, contrarian, like, is just, like, sitting on the opposite side of the table, like, asserting himself.
Right. And, well, that's why I was like, well, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
But, yeah, I love that callback moment. And
that's
then...
amazing.
So we have this, like, first meeting of the small council, and Bran got his come up. That worked out somehow for him.
I guess, like, I don't know, at the end of the day, Tyrion was like, I guess I'll honor my word. I was just like, I I mean, Lannister always pays their debts or whatever, but I'm just like, dude, the way that guy did you, I would just...
But the other thing is, like, Bran is proven himself to be a pretty capable killer, so, like, he might have been scared he could come for him at any moment, though. I don't know. Whatever. He's master... Well, plus, he does like him. It's still his friend.
Yeah.
You know. So...
Bran could have killed him.
He could have, but, like, he was also just alone, was my thing. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't find another, like... assassin to send after him.
Yeah.
But like you're gonna be in the Red Keep, like with, you know, whole King's Guard around you. But, you know, at the end of the day, Lannister pays their debts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's
I was fine with
it.
it. Everybody loves Bran, so
he's funny.
I think we wanted another scene with him anyway. So he's Master of Coin and Lord of the Reach, as promised. So we got Highgarden, which is pretty fucking lofty.
That is so tight.
For Sir Bran of the Blackwater.
I would want to live in Highgarden.
Well, yeah, that's what, like, they were talking about giving him some, like, castle up north, and he's like, fuck no, I'm going south.
Yeah.
That's
it's
insane.
Cold up north.
Yeah. I'd pick Dorne, though. Dorne looks nice.
But Dorne was taken. And Highgarden's almost as far south as Dorne. But, yeah.
True.
Davos is Master of Ships. My man, I gotta say... One of my favorite ever side characters. I love Davos so much.
He's amazing.
So him getting his come up. Sir Brian is captain of the King's Guard. Sam is a new Archmaester. Oh my god.
Oh, Davos.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
That was such a beautiful
moment. I see you, Davos.
Oh,
I see you.
And a little bit of a callback to Stannis. There's so much like kind of the accumulation of how we got here, like moments.
For sure.
Sam's the Archmaester. Really I do love another big theory that we predicted, and he didn't write it, but like he
helped with the title.
Sorry, Grandmaester. Archmaester is the guy in the Citadel. Grandmaester is the name on the small council of the realm. But yes, he helped with the title of the Song of Ice and Fire. Again, I didn't hate it, but it is like another cheesy nerd moment. Like just lots of... That's not even like fan service, I don't think. That's just like straight up like writers sort of just getting themselves off. But, and then Podrick is the one to wheel Bran in, just so that we know that he is now knighted. Sir Podrick. And on the King's Guard.
Do you guys like Sam?
Sam?
Yeah.
So before this season, he's always like, I've made fun of him a lot. And one of my friends... Maggie started watching Game of Thrones from season 1, and by the time she got to like season 3, she was like talking about Sam. I was like, yeah, believe it or not, that character's still alive, and like it blew my mind. And I really, this last season, I just came to really like him, which is wild because he didn't do that much this season.
Oh, I liked him the whole time. Yeah,
I just couldn't believe
he's enjoyable. It is still very questionable how he ends up in the situations he does and still makes it out alive. But, you know, hey.
I came to really like him this season.
We already talked about how he shouldn't have been on the front lines. But in the past seasons, like him being like, oh, I read a book about it and here's some good advice. And that is a little bit of like writer service. But like, you know, I love it too because you don't usually get that perspective in like a big epic fantasy. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like the like nerdy... book-written person like gets to do well.
So Harry Potter and Hermione, you know, being like, this was in a book. Look how useful being smart can be.
Yeah, I agree.
So I thought it was kind of like that
Hermione
too.
also has other skills and is like the MVP.
She's also really good in
Like
battle.
only one other, and this actually was written for Harry Potter, I believe.
I do like his perspective in the battle though. Like once I watched that episode, like I was like, there's no way he could have made it out. But I like that they showed his point of view in that battle, like just being fucking scared. And panicking.
That was a really nice way to lead into that episode for sure. I think it's something we talked about. But I think
that.
I'm
sorry that I ever made fun of Sam.
I always love Sam. Yeah. So and it's nice to see him get his little like dues and like finally
for sure.
Be respected. Yeah. What a nice moment for him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then they fucking start off with that stupid jackass in the honeycomb joke. which Tyrion's tried to say like 3 times, and then they still don't finish it. Another little callback moment, but also pointless. And
Did you guys look up the joke?
He's never
finished it.
I looked it up on Reddit, and I don't even remember it because it's not that funny.
Well, whoever put it probably made it up because it doesn't actually exist. So, but it was just, I thought we were going to hear the fucking joke, and they're like, nope. And we're like, well, all right, fine. And they also, like, tease Bran warging into a dragon, which is, like, a little bit of fan service because that's what we wanted him to do this whole time, but it's also, like, a little late, buddy. Okay, so that brings us to the end. We have the back-to-back just montages of all the Starks and Queen of the North! My by far favorite outcome of all time. We've been stanzaing for a long time on this podcast and before it ever existed. And oh my god, I love her crown so much. I love her outfit.
I know.
Huge shout out to the costume
designer. I love
designer.
that she's the fucking queen.
Yeah.
My god.
When they were saying Queen of the
North,
I was freaking out.
And that callback to like that moment with Rob and that moment with John, but it's always this really emotionally powerful thing when they're
very powerful moments each time.
Those deep northern voices, especially. But now all the men calling out her name,
yes,
queen.
That's what I was
that she deserves, and like especially because they passed over her for what they thought was like an illegitimate child just because he was a man before.
Right.
And
who had been banished to the wall.
Yeah. The true-born daughter of
who,
Ned
by
Stark.
the way, the men of the North, it's been tradition to kill people that desert the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
That's how thick the sexism was.
Yeah.
So especially now them calling her name, and she made them an independent kingdom, whereas the other two were claiming they were, but they never made it happen. She made them an independent kingdom. She is the Queen of the North, and I just that's all I ever wanted for her, and the fact that we got it, like, I don't care that it was predictable. Yeah. I fucking love it.
So, like, I would actually, I think that hers was the most deserving out of, like...
Character arc?
Oh, yes. And, like, the most, like, fully complete, fully, like, realized and amazing. Like, I mean, I do love where some of the other characters go. Right. Arya and Jon and stuff, but, like, you know, Arya is, like, you could saw that one coming a miles away. You know, things like that where it's just, like, you never really thought Sansa would get here. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you weren't cheering for her in the beginning. And I will say, Olivia has, like, a whole article coming out on this
check it
very
out.
soon on our blog. But, like, she gets so much hate for being a traditionally feminine character, for how naive and spoiled and childish she was because she was a child.
Right.
You know, that people really don't like to respect when they talk about, like, how she was.
Like, early...
13.
Like, early season, like, she cries too much. She just saw her fucking father's head on a spike. She's a child. Like, how would you react?
And she's in the hands of her captors and enemies.
Yeah, like, it's terrifying for her, and she handles it fucking way better than anybody else.
I don't partner much, but when we do, it's about Sansa.
Like, it's a deserved fight.
Yes.
On your end.
Yes. And that's what I've been, like, I don't know. I've liked, since I started reading the books, I've liked her, though, because you get in her head.
And I love these, like, small bits of power she takes, right? Like, going all the way back to the beginning. When Joffrey makes her stare at Ned's face, instead of crying or trying to turn away, she stares at it, bold-faced, and says, how long do I have to look? You know, she takes little power in little ways all the way through her come-up.
She doesn't give the gratification of crying.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's what, like, I love her moments like that. And I think she's done it all the way up, all the way to feeding Ramsay to his fucking dogs that he starved, you know, and she's the only one who did it without magic, without religion, without some sorcerer or sorceress. You know, she wasn't brought back from the dead. She wasn't given some, like, amazing training in a foreign country. Right. All she has had is learning from the people around her and being perceptive.
She's the smartest person that I know.
Yeah.
Right.
And she deserves this more than anyone.
It also started, though, with the death of Lady. Like, she screamed and she cried and she was like, no, she's a good dog. And then they killed
well,
her.
now